Hello, kitties. It's terrible triple feature time once again, and oh boy, do we got a good one for you this week. This week, the theme of the triple feature is white people doing crazy shit in South America. That's right, three films that feature white people doing crazy shit in South America. Our menu includes The Mission, Fitzcarraldo, and Sorcerer. Roland Joffe's The Mission is the story of a group of Spanish Jesuit priests trying to create a mission in where are they? Good. Nondescript South America. As I said, Spanish Jesuits. That's why they're being played by Jeremy Irons, Liam Neeson, and eventually Robert De Niro as a mercenary slaver turned Jesuit priests. That's right, an Englishman, an Irishman, and an Italian American. Because there were clearly no working Spanish or Spanish American actors at the time. Anyway, the crazy shit they're trying to do is to create the mission with the Guarani tribe. And so, as always, we have Christian missionaries, Jesuits in this case, trying to save the day and bring them to God. I shouldn't rap too hard on them because in the meantime they are actually bringing these people a lot of good things, knowledge, advanced irrigation, agricultural ideas. I just always get kind of antsy around the whole, but you have to believe in our God thing. But that said, I love the Jesuits. I went to Loyola College in Maryland, and it was pretty awesome, as are the Jesuits. Unfortunately, because of the Spanish treaty, the mission is no longer under Spain or the Church's protection, and so it is left to the Jesuits to defend what the mission and village that the Guaranis have built for themselves in the face of Spanish and Portuguese slavers and prospectors. Let's go with prospectors. Spanish and Portuguese prospectors. And as you can guess, despite a valiant effort, everyone ends up dead. Now, I list this as a crazy activity, the building of a mission in the middle of the South American jungle, but that's only because one of the first things that we see in the film is the previous priest that attempted to do this tied to a crucifix, tied to a cross and shoved down a waterfall. Jeremy Irons, cool, calm, unperturbed Spanish Jesuit, goes in and wins them over with nothing but God and his oboe. It's actually pretty awesome, not gonna lie. It's a damn good movie. All the movies on this triple feature are very good, if not completely fucking insane. Which brings us to Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo. Brian Sweeney Fitzgerald, played by Werner Herzog, partner in crime and or bane of his existence, Klaus Kinski, is in South America, and he is trying to make his fortune, just in general, but specifically he wants to raise enough money to build South America's first opera house. Do they say where they are, or is it nondescript South America again? Fitzcarraldo takes place in Peru. Fitzcarraldo himself, Brian Sweeney Fitzgerald, nicknamed Fitzcarraldo by the local Peruvians, is living in Iquitos and gets his madam friend to bank his idea to reach this fairly isolated section of Peruvian forest that's supposed to be rich with rubber. Everybody is making their money off of rubber tree plants in this part of the world. However, there's this one part that you really just can't get to, mainly because of the way the river curves around. It's very, very treacherous, rapids, rocks, and, Peruvians. But Brian Fitzcarraldo notices that if you go to this point in the map, the landmass separating one side of the river from the other side of the river is fairly small. So what if we just take the boat over the land through a clever system of pulleys and levers? That's right. It's a great idea, isn't it? One small snag, and I say small when really it's enormous because it's essentially a mountain is in between, this tiny little stretch of land, and it's an enormous steamship that they got to get up the mountain and down the other side of the mountain to get to the rubber tree plants. Now, unfortunately, the way Peruvian law worked in the film, you have to get there by a certain time or else your lease is null and void. So, Fitzcarraldo gets a daring crew together of people that he didn't really explain the idea to, goes down the river, gets to the spot, enlists the help of actual Peruvian natives. These were Peruvian people who Werner Herzog employed playing Peruvian people. It was a stretch for them, much like Howard Stern playing himself in private parts. And there was no way to fake this. There was no way to make it look like we're building it. This is, what year was this? This is 1982. This is pre-CGI. Models would only look so good. So they actually did it. They built this goddamn pulley system and pulled the boat over the mountain. I don't know what's crazier, the thing that happens in the movie or the fact that they did it in real life. I mean, take your pick. Which part of this movie is utterly batshit insane? Behind the scenes note, fights between Klaus Kinski and Werner Herzog reached quite a fever pitch at one point, and the chief of, I say chief, if there's a better word for it, I'm sorry, the leader of the Peruvian natives, playing the Peruvian natives, offered to kill Klaus Kinski to Werner Herzog. Werner thought about it for a little while. Escalating order of craziness. Trying to build a mission and bring God to South Americans who really have no use for him. 2. Building a pulley system to drag a steamboat over a mountain and back. What could be crazier than these two things? Well, I'm so glad you asked. And William Friedkin and his film Sorcerer is there to answer. We see 4 men drastically ruin their lives, and as such, they flee from all walks of life and end up in Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, there are oil drillers. This group blows up the oil well, and as such, the oil is on fire. And the only way to put out an oil fire like this is through a blowback of an explosion. So, scrambling, because we're literally burning all of our profits away. Where can we find enough explosive to make this happen? Well, turns out there's a bunch of dynamite in this little shack in the jungle of Nicaragua. We go to the shack. We find the dynamite. We notice that as per its chemical properties, the dynamite is so old and has been stored in such poor conditions that it is breaking down into its component parts. Dynamite sweats nitroglycerin as it gets older. Nitroglycerin, if you don't know, is one of the most volatile substances known to man and will explode if you look at it wrong. But we need to get the dynamite, the highly, highly volatile, dangerous dynamite, from here up a goddamn mountain in Nicaragua. Well, how the hell are we going to do that? Well, first we ask the helicopter pilot. And, I mean, keep in mind, the helicopter pilot is essentially A helicopter pilot is a man or woman who says, my life is boring as shit. So you know what? I'm going to leave the ground in a giant glass bubble that has so many moving parts and so many different ways to go wrong that my life can't help but get any more interesting. Now, this a pilot of a helicopter takes one look at the nitroglycerin dripping dynamite and says, "Fuck that! You guys are out of your mind!" Meanwhile, the fire at the top of the mountain is still burning. The dynamite is still at the bottom of the mountain, and we're losing all of our money. Come back to our 4 desperate men who have ruined their lives in some way. Well, they got nothing to lose and everything to gain. 40 grand a pop. They put together the 2 best trucks in all of Nicaragua, which are basically, the equivalent of 2 trucks that have been in a car fire for the last 25 years in America. They pack the nitroglycerin-laced dynamite as securely as they possibly can. Then they set off on their trek, 218 miles up a goddamn mountain, with rainstorms, rickety bridges that were never meant to support cars, a gigantic fucking tree, and rebels. Mind you, this is if the dynamite just doesn't up and explode all on its own. White people! What are you doing? You're supposed to have more sense than this. So there you have it. White people doing crazy shit in South America. The mission, Fitzcarraldo, and Sorcerer. My brain is just broken just thinking about this shit, let alone I'm actually watching it. I'm in the middle of it. I'm on Fitzcarraldo. It's completely goddamn insane. Join me. Watch them. Craziness. And also, if you're in the Baltimore area, we're having a triple feature party next week. So send me a message if you're curious. Doodles.